just what I'm made of now. Trying to reach inside of me, trying to get my energy. Let me show you just what I'm made of.
I know this is late again, but you know what? I'm not saying Thanksgiving is over until the sun comes up at some point in the next few hours. So you know what? Screw it. It's still Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving. And as you can see, I've already got some of my holiday stuff set up. I already posted pictures about all this on my socials, which I will link in the description box below. Even though I probably won't, because I always keep forgetting to do it. Anywho, welcome to my Thanksgiving special. And yes, it's Scooby-Doo and the Witch's Ghost. Now, yes, I know technically I already reviewed this movie back in Scooby-Vember. But A, that was a very, very crappy video. And B, I didn't really get to go as in-depth with it as I wanted to, being a huge Scooby-Doo fan. And along with Zombie Island, this is one that I definitely grew up with. Now you may be asking, okay, then why are you throwing it into a Thanksgiving-A-Thon thing? Well, because the movie takes place in autumn, it has a scene with a turkey, it has Scooby and Shaggy in one scene dressed up as pilgrims, and I've seen it on pretty much every other Thanksgiving list, so you know what? It counts. And yes, I'm doing it in Dragon Ball attire, because I don't have Scooby-Doo attire, and this is just what I've been wearing, so please excuse me for this not matching at all. So, what's the story of Witch's Ghost? Well, after a short little thing at the museum, where an author, Ben Ravencroft, voiced by the legend Tim Curry, helps out the gang, and actually ends up solving the mystery for them, which leads into the twist later, which I'll talk about when we get there. The gang is invited to enjoy some nice relaxing time in Oakhaven, a nice quiet little town that's in the middle of the fall season, or autumn, whatever you want to call it. And it's supposed to be a quiet little town, but instead there's a lot of hustle and bustle and tourism going around. And Ben is kind of obsessed with finding his sister's long-lost journal. Well, one of his descendants' long-lost journals, excuse me. And prove to the world that she's not the witch that they all say she is. So, it starts out like a normal Scooby-Doo mystery that you'd expect. You know, a supernatural thing going on that threatens people around them, and the Scooby Gang's there and they have to solve it. That's all well and good. Of course, we get the Hex Girls in here, a very big fan favorite addition to the franchise for very good reasons. Not only because of the main girl Thorn being voiced by Jennifer Hale. Yes, that's Jennifer Hale. Or Hale, however you pronounce it, I'm sorry. I'm sorry if I mispronounce your name. But she's a great voice actress, and of course she brings that great performance and great skill level to the character of Thorn. Not to mention, Dusk and Luna are just as good as Thorn, even though Thorn does get most of the focus being the main vocalist of this group. And of course the vocalist group themselves, this band, is really good. Like, they have two really good songs in here that I want to talk about later on in this review. So, it starts out like a normal Scooby-Doo mystery like you'd expect. However, like Zombie Island, it has a twist to it. Now, I don't think it's as good as Zombie Island's twist, because it was revealed a little earlier on, while this one's closer towards the actual end of the movie. But it's revealed, spoiler alert, that Sarah was a witch, and that Ben has been pretty much duping the gang into helping him find the journal. And the whole mystery thing turns out to be for tourism from the mayor and everything else. But they had no idea that Sarah was an actual witch. So Ben ends up using this to become a warlock, temporarily gets magic powers, resurrects Sarah from her spellbook, her ghost anyway, voiced by... Who does voice her ghost? Actually, I completely forget. I am sorry. Hold on a second. Please do not copyright me for the music. Where's it at? Oh, by the way, shout out to Kimberly Brooks and Jane Wielden, the voices of Dusk and Luna. Ches McNeil. Yeah, Ches McNeil. Yeah, Ches McNeil. Ches McNeil is the voice of Sarah Ravencroft. I believe she's a voice actress who got famous off The Simpsons, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong on that. If I am, I'm sorry. I'm kind of rushing to get these reviews done, so sorry if I'm skipping details. And now it's up to the gang to try and stop the ghost and put her back in her place, while also defeating Ben for all the trickery that he's done to them. So, what makes this movie work so well? Well, for one, like I said, it actually has a really good supernatural, unexpected supernatural twist at the end. All the new characters here are great, not just the Hex Girls, but Ben Ravencroft is good. Ches McNeil does a great job as Sarah Ravencroft's ghost. And then, of course, you have the Scooby Gang being the Scooby Gang. I love its autumn fall setting. It really does feel peaceful and relaxing and does kind of fit the holiday of Thanksgiving, even though it's not technically a Thanksgiving movie. But you know what? There is a scene, like I said, there's a scene with a giant turkey and Shaggy and Scooby dressed as pilgrims. So I say it counts. And the movie itself, like, if you're older, you're definitely going to be able to predict some of the things that happen. But if you're a kid watching this for the first time, you're going to be completely flabbergasted by every twist that comes left and right. Also, one other really cool thing I'd like to point out here that I didn't notice until this most recent watch is that there's a little homage to the original Scooby-Doo Where Are You in here, in a scene where Ravencroft is helping Velma up into a barn window, and then she goes crashing down all the way to the bottom to open the door. That reminds me so much of the scene from the very first episode of Scooby-Doo Where Are You, where Shaggy goes into the museum window and then crashes all the way down to the floor. I don't know if that was intentional or just coincidental, but that is so funny, and I like to think of it as an in-joke and a reference. Of course, you have some great voice actors in here as these characters, returning from Zombie Island, I believe it's the same ones. You got Mary Kay Bergman as Daphne, you got Frank Welker as Fred, as pretty much always. The late, great B.J. Ward as Velma, still one of the best Velmas, if you ask me. And then I believe, this is when Scott Innes took the role of Scooby-Doo and Shaggy, while in Scooby-Doo on Zombie Island, Shaggy was voiced by Billy West. Which is weird. I don't know why they made that switch. I'm going to have to do some research on that one. But even though it's predictable for an adult like myself, especially if you've seen it multiple times, there's still a lot of enjoyment to be had here. There's no cringy jokes. There's no lowbrow humor. It doesn't have any fart jokes. It doesn't have any of that, standard kids joke humor kind of stuff in here. Like, these jokes are very well written, and while they are funny for kids, they also have just a little bit in there for adults, too, to make it that's not so cringy. This movie really isn't cringy at all. I have a great time watching it every year that I watch it. I try to watch this every November, sometime around Thanksgiving, or in this case, the day after. It's a great movie. Like, it really is a great movie. It's funny, it's well made, it's well animated, despite some moments where you can tell it had a cheap budget. The voice acting's top notch, the story's really good. Has a nice twist at the end, even though, again, if you're an adult that's seen these type of movies a dozen times, then it's going to be pretty predictable. but everything else about it pretty much works great. Now, granted, I do think that the ending is a bit rushed because I feel like they spent so much time setting it up, and this movie's just only a little over an hour. Like, I think, yeah, it's like only 66 minutes long, not counting credits, it's actually 63 minutes long. It's even shorter. So, they don't have that much of a runtime to really flesh out everything. Like, they flesh out the whole build-up, but then when they get to the actual ending, it's only like the last half hour. It's not really that well fleshed out, and it does feel a bit rushed between Ben revealing his true deeds, like his true motives and everything, then resurrecting Sarah from the book. He ends up getting trapped by Sarah, and then the gang mad dashes to get the book. They get it to Thorn, she reads it. That's over. And we have a giant turkey and pumpkin monsters thrown in there for good measure. Like, it really felt like they were rushed for time coming towards the end, because they did such a great job setting everything up that the ending can't help but just feel a little too fast and over way too quickly. But you know what? It's a Scooby-Doo movie, so I can't really be that harsh on it. Unless you Return to Zombie Island, then you're a piece of trash that I'm going to continuously rip apart every chance I get. But final verdict for this movie, it's a 9 out of 10. It's nowhere near as good as Zombie Island, but it is still a great movie, and definitely a more than worthy follow-up to Zombie Island. So that's it. That's my Thanksgiving surprise for you guys. I hope you all had a fantastic time. I hope you all enjoyed all these Thanksgiving reviews. And hopefully next year I'll be able to get these done on time for once. So, yep, that's going to do it for this review. I'm going to go watch Blood Rage now from my other channel. So, I guess until the Sonic Frontiers review, thanks for watching. Remember to like, share, and subscribe. Remember, Animation Station's your number one stop for anything and everything animation. I'm your host, Jack Small, and I'll see you next time. Happy Thanksgiving. Take care. Peace.